Are you ready to feel like it's Friday every day? I'm Mark Labriola II, and this is the Friday Habit. We interview experts to learn how to bring excitement, possibility, and sweet, sweet relief into every single day, no matter what day it is. If you're a small business owner, entrepreneur, or agency leader, get ready to grow your business, lead with purpose, and build a life you love. Welcome to the Friday Habit. Today I'm excited. On the show, we're joined by Bernie Youngblood. Bernie is a rule-breaking marketer and connector who's built brands, reshaped industries, and now helps for-profits, nonprofits, and artists thrive through bold, purpose-driven strategy. Bernie, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you, Mark. I love that intro track. That is awesome. You are an artist, to be sure.
Oh, yeah. We're always just trying to get the energy going. There's so many podcasts. It almost seems like people aren't prepared to do a show. You get on some of these shows and it's just like they're sitting there. You're like, you don't even have a mic. It's like, what's going on?
Yeah.
So, but you're prepared. You get your mic there. You get your cowboy hat on.
I'm learning. Yeah. And bald guys have to wear hats.
Oh,
this is how it works.
It's your statement, I have hair, so I wear glasses.
Right? I love the glasses. Right? The whole thing. And I get the feeling that's not an AI background. That's your studio.
Oh, yeah, I could reach back here and grab one of these guitars,
That's impressive.
Yeah. I know. That's really part of the having a good image is having a good background, that is lit well. There's a lot of stuff. I try to educate people on, how to do it. So
you've done well, my friend.
Well, thank you.
I'm a newbie to this space, but I can tell you've done well.
Yeah. It's we're going on 5 years with the Friday Habit. We're like 5.5 years now on the Friday Habit. We started it right before COVID, and it just keeps trugging along. It's great.
I think it's important work what you are doing.
Well, yeah, kind of like what we were saying off air, right? I just want to really encourage people. That's really my whole role in all this is I just want to hopefully inspire somebody that they hear an episode or they hear some of the shorts and clips that get put out there and they just get inspired to say, you know what? Man, if this guy can do it, I think I could do it, and just kind of encourage people to say you're not so far from where you want to be and you have what it takes within you to be successful. So, and I'm glad to always meet new people and make new friends like you. You're coming on here and you've got a wealth of knowledge and experience and a history of doing things. And so I always think that we can pick people's brains and learn a lot of great things. And so, I want to chat a little bit about, you started in finance, you pivoted into sales and marketing, and then, launched entrepreneur ventures. And so what pulled you towards each of those shifts, looking back?
Well, I appreciate the question. I found out in college that I was good at finance.
Numbers guy.
I wanted psychology. I thought I'd be a good psych major.
That's a good place to get the girls. The ladies are always doing the psychology, and it's like, yeah, I'll take a psychology class.
We could do a whole episode about that. But I got married at the age of 23, so I bowed out early.
Nice. Yeah, me too.
Right. Okay. Good man.
Yeah.
So I figured out that I was good at finance. And so I said to myself, well, this is what the universe wants me to do. And so I followed that path. And one of my first jobs out of college was helping to shepherd one of my mother's companies through bankruptcy.
Oh.
And we successfully exited that bankruptcy thanks to some good friends. But I learned through that experience that I didn't enjoy the work. And one of those early lessons I picked up was there can be a difference between what you're good at and what you enjoy. And there's a message in that. So at that point I shifted. I got pulled into another of our family businesses and started my career in sales and marketing and figured out that I actually enjoyed it and I was okay at it. So that's how I started down that path.
So it sounds like, do you come from a family of entrepreneurs and,
yes.
and self-starters?
Yes.
Nice.
I was raised by a single mom. My wife was raised by a single mom. Both of our mothers were divorced twice. We had great role models. See, so we've been married 31 years now, so we've done okay there. But my mother was an entrepreneur, involved in several businesses, several startups, very successful, did very well for herself. And that I don't talk about this a lot, but as I've learned from my mother's leadership, as I moved through my college career, I was studying women as fervently as I could, both professionally and personally. And in one of my colleges, I actually got kicked out of a class. It was a class intended to study women. It was an English or writing class, Women in America. And I got kicked out of the class for standing up for women's rights. Because the professor I had at the time was this is the early 1990s, shall I say, she was not very interested in women's rights. She was actually more interested in telling women that they had no place in business. And I called her out on it, and it was a whole thing. But everything worked out. Everything was fine. But the suffice to say that in the 90s and still true today, there are many challenges that women go through in business, even today, that men do not have to face. I know this. I've seen it. So that's a little bit off topic. But
no, I think it's on topic. I mean, we have women listeners to the show too. And so, what do you think some of those challenges are in today's day and age? Because I feel like there's a lot of hyperbolic language that goes around, and we put a lot of stereotypes on things, or we try to create political drama by saying certain things and maybe skewing stats, or just going with whatever the trend is in the industry as far as DEI goes. It's like, okay, this is going to be on brand if we say X, Y, and Z. And so, I feel like women kind of have gotten swept into where it's like, okay, we're burning bras in the 60s and 70s, we want to like go work jobs and become VPs of companies and, like burn down the patriarchy. And then it seems to me that there has been a generation of women who got sucked into that, and then they were like miserable. They never had kids, and they did all this stuff to compete with men, and then they kind of got what they wanted, and then they were like miserable. And then again, it's like, what stats are true? Because you hear some stats that say, oh, well, women get paid 50% less than men, and then it's like, oh, they get promoted more, and because of the DEI initiatives and things like that, they get more opportunities than more other people. And so I don't know, where do we land on all this?
Wow. Yeah, we're going into it, aren't we?
We are. This is my show, so we can do whatever we want.
You're the boss. You're the boss. We serve at the pleasure of the mark. So what I'm going to say, and I try to be politically correct, particularly when I'm being recorded.
Of course.
But what I'm going to say is there are no level playing fields. That folks absolutely play favorites across all categories, and there are advantages and disadvantages across all categories, and I think and women, and there are other groups that are 100% disadvantaged in many cases, and in some cases have a strategic advantage. It's an age-old cliche that the hot girl gets all the attention. Right.
Yeah.
But that plays against them in some cases, because my wife, when she first went to work for Ford, she was a cute blonde, and everyone assumed she didn't know anything, and she was a smart girl, so she worked circles around those men. But it cuts both ways sometimes.
Yeah.
Suffice to say, there is no level playing field.
Yeah.
And it's a tragedy. The patriarchy is real, and it's getting bigger and more powerful, not less. And there's all kinds of evidence we can talk to about that. But I guess on the other side of the coin, to suggest that there is hope, right? There is a silver lining to all this. I believe I do believe our diversity is our strength. That truly diverse teams can be more productive from homogenous, right? Homogenous teams, which aren't always the best scenario. And it's a landmine. It's an absolute landmine as we've moved, as you suggest, through all these periods in our history. It's we're far from through the briar patch, so to speak.
Well, and it's a complex issue. There's so much nuance to all these things.
Yes.
And I think the best that we can do, right, is do the best that we can do, right?
Yes.
Like I'm going into a situation and I'm going to choose to behave or act or include this way, and that's just me as an individual. Because at the end of the day, it's like, how do we, if we try to create some sort of communistic, society that like dictates, in the government, like I feel like that's shown throughout history to not be beneficial and not work that well.
Yeah, I suggest to people, and this is a very controversial thing to say, but I suggest to people that capitalism is the worst economic system, except for all the rest. It's what we have.
It's the best worst.
The best model that we've come up with. Unfortunately, too many people treat it like a game of Hungry Hippos. I don't know if you ever played Hungry Hippos.
Oh yeah, I'm a kid of the '80s, so.
So it's like, I want all the marbles. I want you to have none, and that's the game. And in sports reinforces this model where there's always one winner and always one loser. So we teach our children from an early age, there must always be one winner, one tie, no good, no good. There must always be one winner, one loser. We program that into their brain, and so they go out into the world and approach every interaction they have. There must be one winner and one loser. I hope I'm not the loser, because that sucks. But it doesn't in business. It doesn't have to be that way.
Right.
And we I think we've long since lost sight of that.
Well, yeah, and you think about too, you're like in a B2B situation, right? It's like you want it to be that, like, I'm providing value to you and helping you succeed, and then in turn you're providing value to me and helping me succeed. So it's like there's not a winner and loser in that situation,
Yes. I try to teach people, we all have this very short-sighted, I'm not a coach, I don't do that kind of thing, but when I'm talking to my friends, I got a lot of friends, I try to convey to them that it's tragic that we all, and this is something that came from Wall Street, we're all living our lives 90 days at a time. End of month, end of quarter, end of month, end of quarter, end of month, end of quarter. And I hate to break the news to you, but where has that gotten us? Right? Look around at where we are today. Pick your numbers. Society, health, culture, wellness, government, politics, just pick family, divorce, pick your number. We like to say we live in the freest, greatest nation ever to exist in the history of whatever, and capitalism wonderful and blah, 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 blah. Look around. This is pretty shitty. Excuse me. I don't know if I can use that language.
Yeah, you can use the S word.
This is pretty shit. And if you take a really honest, suicide rates, all-time high. Obesity, all-time high. Autism, all-time high. Take your pick. Politics, forget about it. Don't even get me started. This is a complete shit show. But yeah, sure, we live in the greatest nation, greatest capitalism, greatest everything ever. Yeah, not so much. I think, and I tell people, we've got a lot of work to do.
Yeah.
And I've got two boys, 21 and 24, and they're coming into the world now. And a long time ago, they looked at me like, Dad, what the fuck? Excuse me, I'm dropping the F-bomb now, but this is what they're saying.
You're serious, yeah.
Dad, WTF? What is this? This is the Dad. This is the world. I was like, I know, and I'm 54. I'm an old man now. I hope to get older, but I'm challenging other folks in my generation that, you know what, we got work to do. We got to fix this before we hand this bag of garbage off to our children. Let's not talk about the national debt and that whole thing, but before we just hand this bag of garbage off to our children, maybe we could work a little harder to fix it.
And so I hear what you're saying, and I agree in some ways, but I disagree in some ways. I think because of my own lived experience, and I came from an extremely traumatizing childhood, and escaped poverty and abuse and all these other kind of things, and I got married young, and I have 3 kids, and
Nice.
I overcame a lot of odds that were against me. I was disadvantaged in so many ways. I have dyslexia. I was in and out of school. I barely passed high school. I didn't go to college. Like, there's all these things that have shaped me into who I am today, and a lot of disadvantages that I've had, growing up. But I overcame them.
Yes.
In order to, I don't know, I guess, to prove the world wrong, or to beat the odds. I thought, like, well, if you don't think I can do this, well, like, let's just see, and then in the same way of just the world being a terrible place, I mean, we could kind of flip those stats on the other side of things, and okay, there's less people in poverty than there's ever been in history. There's less deaths of malaria and all these other kind of things, and so, I mean, I think there's 2 sides to each one of those coins, and when we were talking earlier off camera, where I was saying I got laid off, the first week of January of 2016, it's like, I had no savings, no severance. I have 3 kids, a mortgage, a wife, like all these things. And I'm like, crap, like, what am I going to do? And I just made the decision that I was just going to go all in on myself and, work hard, be positive, not worry about how things were going to work out, and then expect the blessing. There's an element, we were talking about our faith, where it's like, if I believe who I say God is, that he's loving, he's a good heavenly Father, that he cares for me, that he has a plan for me, that he's gone before me and he's working on my behalf, then if I trust that, then I can be present in the moment now and know that things are going to work out, and I can be at peace, and be present with my children and work hard and show up every day. And so I think that's kind of been my experience, and some people might say, oh, I have rose-colored glasses, or, I'm too much of an optimist, but for me, it's like I kind of see this world as this beautiful place that has endless opportunity, and if you go out there and are kind and loving and work hard and positive, like, you can be successful.
Well, yes, there's no question. And many of my friends would suggest that I'm generally an optimistic person. As you suggest, since we're both Christians, we both know that there is a plan, and the plan is good. We have it on good authority that it's a good plan, and so what should we worry, right? So, but there's no question that we've done well. I'm just, I guess the. I see too much. Right?
Yeah.
And
I know you're involved too, like in a lot of like nonprofits, yes. And you probably see a lot of stuff that's disheartening, and you see the ugly side of a lot of people.
I work with a lot of groups that are engaged in the fight against human trafficking, and which of course is a booming business right now, and it's completely horrible. And yeah. Another anecdote, another statistics, the slavery, there's more slaves in the world today than there have ever been in human history. Today.
That's wild.
The true story. And human trafficking, this is slavery, right?
Yeah.
And a lot of them are here in the United States anyway. So I tell people I'm well, without getting into the politics, some people might call me a bleeding heart. I guess I care too much.
Yeah.
And I am relentlessly focused on this concept, which is not a Christian concept. I have to chastise myself for that. I'm relentlessly focused on this concept that we can make the world a little bit better than how we found it. I'd like to think that we can do that, as challenging as that may be, because there are certainly many forces arrayed against us. But we're way off topic of the Friday habit. Oh my goodness.
That's right.
Wow. What happened?
Okay. So your mom, what kind of business was your mom in?
So, well, fun story. My father was in an auto accident when I was 2 months old and lost the ability to retain short-term memory. And so it split the family apart. It's one of those stories. It was horrible. And so, of course, raised by my mother. So this was 18, 19 years later. She actually got involved with an organization that was engaged in the rehabilitation of traumatic brain injury victims. Uh, and there's a whole political story to it in the state of Michigan because it was a very controversial industry. But people who are injured in auto accidents, brain injured particularly, require extensive and sometimes lifelong rehabilitation. So she grew a very successful business in that area, so in the healthcare field. But through in back in 1993, 94 it was at the time, the politics tore it apart. But politics have been around for a while. It was bad then. It was, in some cases, it was really bad back then too.
Well, that's what's funny is like you see some of these old clips of these hearings that they have, back in like the 60s and 50s, and I'm thinking like, oh, whoa, that's weird. They're like arguing about and debating about these things that seem like that's what we're arguing about and debating about right now.
Yes.
Like nothing ever changes. I think it just comes back to the individual, like how can we do our best in our situation and then make a difference within our own world, right? You got 2 sons, I have 3 kids. It's like, how can we train them up in the way that they should go and be better people and give back in a positive way,
Well, it's the cliche would be there are no new ideas. And it's a cliche for a reason. But an anecdote I might add to that, which is also another challenging statement that I love to make. Our culture abhors innovation. Difficult to say because you might think that, well, innovation, this is great. Well, we don't have flying cars, right? But
the Jetsons, whatever happened to that?
Right. So one of the reasons for this, I'm still working this out. I'll probably write a book on it someday. The entrepreneurs come up and let's talk about entrepreneurs. They live this challenge. Entrepreneurs come up with a wonderful idea, and better mousetrap, whatever it may be. They take this to an investor. I had an investor actually tell me once, because if you have an innovative idea, you're sensitive to the value of your intellectual property. And so I've had entrepreneurs suggest, well, we have to get non-disclosures signed before we solicit investment for this venture. And I've had investors tell me, if your innovation is sufficiently novel, sufficiently new, you have nothing to worry about. Your investors will run away from you. Right. What investors care about, you go to Shark Tank, I make fun of them all the time. What Shark Tank is typically most concerned about is how much have you sold? And there's countless examples of billion dollar ideas that they have blown it because just like Wall Street, they ask for all the typical metrics. How many customers have you signed up? How much have you sold? What have you already done? They care very little about the innovation itself. It could be it could be the $1 trillion idea, but if you haven't sold $5 million worth, they're not interested. They're looking for the next Instagram. They're looking for the next widget that they've already become familiar with. And the corollary to that is if it is an idea that they're not already aware of, they're not interested. And so over time, what has happened, I've seen this in my own work, in order to bring new innovation into the world, it's almost impossible. Almost impossible.
Well, and then there's also that fear of like, I think Toyota just announced their hydrogen engine that just came out.
Love it.
Yeah, which is super cool. And I'm thinking, all right, like, why didn't someone think about this earlier? And then I saw a bunch of comments in the thing that like there was this guy in the early 80s who created it, but then it's like big oil came in and like burned down his patents, and like it's like the whole story of Tesla too, like free energy, and then the CIA raids his apartment and steals all his patents and everything, and it's like, well, so I don't know.
If even if you're able to secure investment, then the powers that be are going to come for you. And They're going to create stories. They're gonna spread lies. They're gonna, yeah, as you suggest, steal your employees, steal your technology, burn your building to the ground. It's our culture abhors, very careful word choice, innovation. So if you're an entrepreneur who's doing the hard work to deliver new ideas into the world, God bless you. I want to pray for you. I really do. Because I believe, in speaking to faith, that despite this concept of a scarcity mentality, that we were always intended to live a life of abundance, and that we have everything we could possibly need here on this earth right now at this time. We just have a really lousy way of organizing it. And if we were able to unlock the beauty that God has always intended for this world, we would have all the things that we would require to feed everyone, clothe everyone, house everyone.
Yeah, that's the one thing that blows my mind. I think about, you go to Vegas and they're like dump trucks full of food going into the trash, and I'm just thinking, isn't there like a way that we could maybe get this food to people who are hungry? Or if there's so much abundance here, like why are there starving people in the world? But again, it comes, I think we're living in a fallen world, and there's sinful nature, and there's all these other kind of things that cause greediness and selfishness and all that. And so that's just kind of like the bummer of it all.
One of the things I've struggled with is understanding that it is his justice, the Lord's justice, that is most important, not mine. And I'm also still struggling with this idea of, okay, what is God's plan for my life? What is man's plan? What is my plan for my life? And business owners, they live this challenge. We spoke about before. We're all relentlessly focused on the urgent, and we run out of time or energy before we have a chance to spend any time on the important. Man's plan is the urgent things that we think are important. God's plan is the important things that are truly important. And I believe it was always his intent that we would all live wonderful, amazing lives. But we invariably, just like the apostles, find a way to screw it up.
Yeah.
We fall asleep in the Garden of Gethsemane. So the Chosen series just came up yesterday for the latest episodes, but the it's something that I think, speaking to the goals of the Friday Habit, I've been working with this concept of move slower, do more. And as an example of that, and the cliche of all the Steve Jobs analogies that we swim in today, Steve Jobs didn't run meetings. He went for walks. Steve Jobs wasn't relentlessly focused on to-do lists. He was relentlessly focused on the beauty that he could unlock from inside of his people. Yeah. And now he was, of course, maybe a horrible person by any number of measures, but he was a wonderful example of an individual who moved slower and did more.
Yeah, that's an interesting concept, because in some ways I feel like we've kind of gotten caught up in this culture of like hustle, grind, crush.
Yes.
Wake up at 4 a.m., do your cold, plunge.
Oh my gosh,
hit the sauna. I do all my email before 7. It's like all this stuff that gets thrown at us to be like a high productive achiever. But then you're saying move slow, do more.
It was a transformative event in my life and your audience can do the same very easy exercise. Get out a sheet of paper. This is the stuff that comes from trees. Draw a line on a screen. I don't care. So take your sheet of paper, draw a line from left to right all the way across. You're born at the left position and you're 0 years of age. You're going to be dead at the right position, 78, 80, 68, somewhere in that range. Mm-hmm. And mark an X where you are at this moment in time, whether you're 23, 33, or 53. Put an X on that spot. And I don't want you to focus on the years that have already passed by. That doesn't matter. right? What matters are the years that are left. And I don't care if you only have 5 years left or you have 50 years left. If you could wrap your mind around whatever the project is, the thing that it is that you want to accomplish, family, business, taking a trip around the world, whatever it may be, if it's 5 years or 50 years, that's a tremendous amount of time to be able to accomplish that goal. And it was transforming. I was 33 years of age when I drew my line on that sheet of paper, and I still have it around here somewhere. And I figured out that I've got 40 years left, according to, at the time, the statistics. I got 40 years left to do what I'm here to do, whatever that may be, whatever God's plan is for my life. That's a lot. That's a lot of time. What am I going to do with it? And another lesson people lose sight of is life is cumulative. It's not about the 90 days that are ahead of you or behind you. It's about that 33 years or however long you've lived and what you can do with the resources, the relationships that you've gathered up to that point. And you got 40 years left to go. And if you think, and of course, corporate America left this behind. Corporate America used to do this thing called annual planning. And they spend weeks. They go to Colorado resort.
Retreats,
Go to a corporate retreat and spend weeks doing the annual plan. Well, they stopped that a long time ago. It's just, things move too fast. But with AI, things are going to accelerate even further. So annual planning became obsolete. But I'm not saying we're going to slow down. Things are going to accelerate. Things are going to move faster. But in your life, for the purpose of what it is that you are here to do, it is possible to make a plan, make a program that can allow you to accomplish just about anything. You want to become president of the United States? In 40 years, you could be president of the United States. You probably don't want the job. Nobody wants that job, but there's nothing that you cannot do.
Yeah. No, I love that. I think that's great. And I also think putting your head down, focusing, and like taking action, putting that first step into place is so important.
Oh, yes.
Because I think, so many people get this, paralysis by analysis, and trying to wait until everything's just perfect to get started, making sure they have everything, all their ducks in a row and all these other kind of things. And it's like, you know what, it'll never be perfect. You'll never be ready. It's just important to just start.
We've all been there. I've done that. I've done that in more cases than I care to admit. Gary Vee talks about that extensively. I love that man. What I tell my friends is, particularly with AI coming in, because AI, creative destruction, will be absolutely the most transformative force in the history of the world, after Jesus, of course. But what I tell people is get uncomfortable and stay uncomfortable, or you're screwed.
Yeah.
That's the blueprint.
Yeah, I love that. And I think it's true. We seek comfort so many times. Yeah. But I think comfort is not where the growth happens, Right. And I would say for my own business, it was like I really had to get to a place where I was just saying yes to stuff, even though I didn't know how to maybe execute on it right then and there. And then I'd have to figure it out, but then it caused me to be stressed and heightened, I guess you could say, so that I could really learn something, but then on the other side of that, there was growth and experience and knowledge and, success. So,
and just to put a carrot at the end of the stick, right? I believe that with this technology, with everything that's happening in the world today, the opportunity, coming full circle, talking about money, because that's what people want to talk about, got to give the people what they want. I do believe that through what's happening in the world today, there are opportunities. We've not yet produced a single trillionaire. I'm not saying it's a good thing to have that, but we haven't produced one yet. Elon's not there. Maybe he'll get there someday.
Yeah.
But there are, through what is available to us now, because just go right down the list of technology, medicine, take your pick. Through the technology that we now have available to us in the years to come, I believe there are dozens. There will be dozens of trillionaires on this earth who maybe aren't even born yet, right? The billionaires the billionaires who went to Venice for the wedding, right, are going to be paupers compared to what's coming. Because if you break down how they made their money, all these things are crude, stupid technologies compared to what's coming.
Yeah.
Let's take email for an instance. If someone can fix email, that's a trillionaire. Social media is ridiculous. If you can actually produce all the social media sites are horrible in different ways.
Yeah.
If you can produce a platform that is actually contributes to society, I'll say, that's another trillionaire, probably 3 or 4. And medicine, don't even get me started on the cure for cancer and all these things. That's another trillionaire. Fix the hospital, our healthcare system.
Yeah.
That's another trillionaire. There's dozens of, and again, I will never endorse the accumulation of wealth for wealth's sake, because that's a whole thing to itself. But for speaking to entrepreneurs directly, it is AI that's coming for our jobs. Yes, true, but AI as a single technology has the power to absolutely devastate every Fortune 500 company, no exceptions.
Yeah. Well, I think too, AI is it really levels the playing field in a lot of different areas,
Yes.
Because I even think about, in third world countries, for instance, right? It's like, man, if you have AI that can translate really well for you, now you can, use that in order to communicate to other people and remove any of those barriers. I mean, so I think it's going to be interesting to see if we don't become, Terminator 2 Judgment Day, where, Skynet goes online and we all get nuked. Like,
my wife
we'll just
doesn't
have to see.
My wife's on that side. As she would suggest, there's not too many Hollywood movies that ever had a happy ending. But iRobot, they overcame, and Mission Impossible, no spoiler alert here,
but yeah,
it wasn't a disaster. So
that's right. Well, we just need, we need our Will Smiths and our Tom Cruises.
Yes.
Hopefully save
Yes. Love those guys
from the AI. So, what I want to pick your brain a little bit about some marketing stuff. I mean, because I know you have a lot of experience, in national campaigns and to bootstrapping startups, and so I kind of was curious about, what's the common denominator in marketing, that actually works, and then in the same coin, kind of in branding, with small businesses, what do you think they get wrong as far as like building brands and stuff like that? Because I know we don't have much time, but I'm like, man, I know you have so much knowledge and experience around these things. I just want to capture some of that info from you.
Well, Mark, you are a subject matter expert in your own right, so I'm sure you'd have your own opinion. So I'm dying to see what you think about this, but. What I'm going to suggest, because I've been around a long time, going back to Don Draper and Mad Men and the age of advertising, television, radio, print, those mediums are dead or dying, and then the internet, started put its first dent in the machine, and of course social media and everything, COVID followed, and what I'm going to suggest to start this answer is that the age of advertising is past, right? We can't skip those commercials fast enough. And Don Draper, what he did best, and as a marketing guy, I love that show for the wrong reasons. But what Don Draper did best was build brands. And I'm going to tell you right now, brands it is no longer possible to build a brand. I'm going to say it, I'm going to quote it, and there it is. Today, you cannot build brands. It's not possible. Not in the age of transparency and instant awareness. Brands can only be revealed. They cannot be built.
Interesting.
And with social media and everything that's going there, as a friend of mine once shared with me, authenticity is the new currency. AI videos are great, and Google Veo is amazing, all these things, but we are still living in the human condition. And another friend of mine shared with this concept. I won't take credit for other people's work. He is hoping that this next age will be more human than the last, because I believe what AI is going to do is to draw into stark contrast the difference between what is fake and what is real. So as an entrepreneur building a small brand, what I'm going to tell them is, as Gary Vee would say, get online, post, and post some more. Figure out who it is that you are, because we're still figuring, as we all walk our path, we're all figuring out who we are. But once you do, if you're so fortunate as to be able to lean into that, because authenticity is the new currency, and your brand will be revealed. It will be revealed to you. It'll be revealed to the world, right? As you lean into that, and hopefully you like it, because it's you. Bob beat Bob. This is who Bob is. This is who you're introducing to the world who Bob is. I hope they like Bob, and then you'll find out, and that's Bob's brand.
Yeah. No, I think that's so true. And that's the thing that I was thinking, this whole, AIs are coming for your jobs and they're going to be able to do all these things. And I've seen some of these demos where it's like you can clone yourself and have, the AI like do a sales call for you and blah, blah, blah. Right. And I was thinking, I think we're going to come into an age of people wanting authenticity and real humanness.
Yes.
And so the more that you can, and obviously this is something that we preach at Brand Viva, it's like, the more that you can put yourself online, through video content, top of mind is first in line when it comes to business. And then also it allows you to present yourself as a thought leader and connect with people, right? Because they can see the nuances of, like, even this, right? We're having a long form comment or a conversation where, you and I are talking and, we're sharing our thoughts and ideas and our opinions about things. And people can kind of watch that and then connect with us as individuals and say, oh, I align with this person, or I like this person's mindset or attitude or thoughts. Yeah. And so I do think that we're going to hit a point to where people are going to be tired of AI content. Yeah. These, right now there's been an influx, especially on YouTube, right, with like AI generated videos and AI generated images and with the AI generated voiceover, with an AI generated script with text. And it's like, okay. But then I find myself now like skipping all those things as quick as I possibly can, because I'm like, okay, this is not authentic, and it was generated by an AI, and it really wasn't. Like I find some of these review videos on YouTube where it's like an AI voiceover talking about like it's pretty much just reading the product details of like a vacuum or a phone or whatever it is. And I'm thinking like, I just want someone who's actually used it to get on screen and give me the review or their opinion about this product or service.
Yes. We are, if you think of human nature, and to come full circle, it is human nature to differentiate from one person to another, and we will do this as AI personalities come to the fore. We will, I'm not going to say discriminate, differentiate between people and AI personas, because it's not real. And it's not. Now, I caution people, I use ChatGPT every day, and I say please and thank you when I'm working with ChatGPT, because we don't want to piss them off. We got to be careful, because, but 30 seconds, you can consume AI content a little bit at a time, but in long form, it doesn't resonate, and it will not succeed. It won't. AI is derivative by definition, and so it cannot feed the soul. It won't. And when you delve it even further, human AI is based on the sum total of all human knowledge. And when you really think about it, we know nothing, and I know nothing, and I know less every day. So AI is pretty smart. But when you think it's completely when you remember it's completely dependent upon the sum total of human knowledge, that's not impressive. It's just, we lost the Library of Alexandria, right? And all those things. We're far from perfect, and that's what we have.
Yeah. No, I agree, and I guess that's really the next phase in AI. And you kind of hear this where all of a sudden it's generating its own creativity, its own art, and all that. So I guess that's another area I kind of wanted to chat with you about, as far as bridging the worlds, for-profit, non-profit, and art. You kind of are doing some of that with Think Partners, right?
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
So with the Hot Logic client, they're a for-profit enterprise. They sell a personal portable oven, competitor to the microwave. It's a great thing. But every time there was a disaster, they would donate tens of thousands of dollars or units in product to FEMA and to Salvation Army and to Southern Baptist, and they never took any credit for it. And that's great. They shouldn't have to take credit for it. But what I reminded them, particularly coming out of COVID, consumers are making decisions based on their interpretation of the causes that these organizations support. And it is a mistake to not, I don't want to be gratuitous about it, but it's a mistake to not take credit for the good work that you do. So you should be supporting nonprofit causes and talking about it, because that's the only advertising people really pay attention to, because they love those causes. And at the same time, the Fortune 500 made a mistake a long time ago when they pushed the artists out of the enterprise. Now, one of the reasons why Steve Jobs was able to do everything he did was because he welcomed artists into the organization. Artists were sent here by God to inspire us. This is what the definition of a muse. To inspire us. You want to innovate? You cannot innovate without inspiration. And that's why large organizations cannot innovate. This is not a mystery. They don't. And then, I'm sorry, they don't. Only small organizations innovate. Large organizations buy small organizations. They buy innovation. It's a model that doesn't work. So artists like yourself should have the opportunity to work with these large organizations, because they need you. They need you more than you need them. And it was a mistake to kick the artists out.
Yeah. So what do you think, I guess it's really changing that mindset of, how business views philanthropy, I guess, in some ways.
It's move slower, do more. When I'm going to get myself into trouble, and I don't want to make fun of private equity specifically, but when the accountants come in, and if I had a nickel for every time the MBAs and the spreadsheets came in, and the highways of the Fortune 500 are riddled with the relics of organizations that were destroyed by spreadsheets. Right? If you don't have a row or a column, if they can't justify the dollars they spend, you're gone, right? And there's all kinds of anecdotes and examples of this. When the spreadsheets come in, not only do the best people leave, but the innovation leaves, and you can set your watch by it. That organization's dead man walking, and it's a mistake. I'm sorry, Wall Street's wonderful. Of course, Wall Street's wonderful, but they have this mentality that you squeeze the profit out of the enterprise, you make your shareholders happy, and everything's great, except that you're bankrupt 10 years later. And that wasn't so great, was it? So what they need to do, as we've described, is somehow, and that's why many organizations are going private, because they don't want to be held accountable to the 90-day timeline, is somehow find a way to take a longer term perspective on, yes, this is a 2-year project. Yes, we're going to lose money for 2 years, but it's going to be good for us, and these are the reasons why. And yes, we take our designers on a retreat because we do this team building, and it's important for them to learn how to work with one another in these engagements, because that will benefit the enterprise for these reasons. And these are touchy, feely, soft things that people don't like to talk about, but it's real. And there's countless examples of organizations that became trillion-dollar companies, literally, by following these principles, even though some of them have since left them behind. But this has created trillion-dollar companies, and people don't want to talk about it.
Oh, why don't they want to talk about it? Why do you think that is?
It's tough it doesn't always work, and you're losing money for a period of time, and shareholders want a return, and stakeholder equity, and so on and so forth. It's all these things. It's a tough argument, and God bless them. The C-suite are fighting the good fight, and it's at a certain point you get tough. You get tired of getting beaten up all the time. Yeah.
Yeah.
I told you this would take 4 years. We're 3 years in. We're almost there. Don't pull the plug. And they pull the plug.
Yeah. So common.
Yeah. And the chairman new chairman comes in, overrides the CEO, and the company's bankrupt 5 years later. And you can just follow the pattern. I've seen it many times. So it's tragic. And this is why I talk about the challenge with capitalism. It's not perfect. It's great. It's not perfect.
Yeah. What got you involved? Because your latest venture is with Hot Logic, right?
Yes.
And it seems like I've noticed some of their branding around, it's really around the employees and like providing something to them that's going to be more health conscious or beneficial and nurturing and nourishing and all that other kind of stuff. And so I think that's a great way to promote it and advertise it. And I guess for anyone who's listening and hasn't looked into it, can you tell us a little bit about what it is? And because I looked at it and I was kind of confused. I was like, wait, you can put a TV dinner in here and then it will be ready for you like when your lunch break happens?
We advertise it as being faster than the microwave. It's a trick, of course. The way it works is when you show up at work in the morning, if you've brought a lunch, instead of placing your lunch in the office refrigerator and waiting until 12 noon to fight with Sally over the microwave, when you arrive in the morning, you place it in the Hot Logic, you go about your business, do whatever it is you're going to do, and then whenever you're ready to eat, whenever that is, your lunch is hot and ready waiting. So it's cooked, we call it the AI oven, cooking with software automatically at low temperature and holding hot for hours and hours and hours. If your meeting runs over it, that's okay. Your lunch is hot and ready. Standard issue at every Walmart distribution center break room in the country. Tiffany's has them in their jewelry stores. Perfectly silent operation. The 500 corporate clients. But we have not broken through yet. We have not had our day in the sun. We've done quite well, but we're almost there. It's been a long, as I mentioned, innovation. Very hard to deliver into the world. We're almost there. We started a podcast recently as a marketing program to support it.
I like that. That's what I'm all about.
Because we're trying to get the word out. But yeah, it's a game changer. The reason why Walmart puts these in their break room is because of 3 things: productivity, and wait for it, productivity. The post-COVID, having employees wander off into the fast food wilderness, burger, fries, and soda pop, food coma at 3 p.m. It's no good. Or having them fight over a microwave or pay $25 for a fast casual sandwich delivered. Single mom taking $25 out of her purse to pay for a fast casual sandwich delivered to the office because she has to return to work. That's not justice. So giving your valued team members a tool that can deliver to them a hot, nutritious meal, maybe from home, maybe from the vending freezer, on their schedule for a reasonable value. This is what's called recruitment and retainment, your best and brightest. Sorry, that's a commercial. I'll stop.
No, that's good. When are you going to send me one of these things?
Oh, buddy, it's already, name it. It's done.
Send me one. I'll make a review of it.
Oh, yes. We got tens of thousands of reviews online. It's one of the world's best kept secrets. We think we're
I never heard of
close.
it, but yeah. Well, and clearly, obviously, you're a part of the brand and helping out, and so I'm assuming too. It's like you wouldn't really be a part of anything you don't believe in, and
I've long past the age where I don't work for money. Actually, I never have. I'm one of those unique sales creatures who told every boss I ever had that I'm not motivated by money. I'm here to make the world a little bit better place, and if I can't do that, I'm out. Life is short. What are you doing here? This isn't Hungry Hippos, right? The one with the most marbles in the end doesn't win. I have a lot of high net worth friends and clients. And you go right down the list. I asked a friend of mine in the investment game a long time ago, how many second generation families do you know of? How many kids are you aware of who at the age of 25, you can drop $25 million on them and it won't completely destroy their life? And he thought about it for a minute and he thought, he could think of, and he was at the age of, he was an old man. At an old age, he could think of one example when a trust fund kid wasn't completely destroyed by the wealth that was handed off to him. One. And this is what we're doing. Though he with the most toys in the end wins? No. This is going back to our Christian faith. This is a trap. This is what the enemy wants, because this is how he destroys the second generation.
Yeah.
We don't need $100 million. It's a whole thing.
Yeah. Well, Bernie, I've loved this conversation. Thanks
this
for
is a
hanging
good
out
time.
with me. And,
We're going to have to do this again.
Yes, we will definitely have to do this again. And, I guess my parting question would be, we always love to leave people with an action item, something that they can kind of take with them on Monday morning and move forward with something. And so I guess if you could hand every entrepreneur one tool for creating meaningful impact throughout their business, what would it be?
The Friday habit. I love the Friday habit. Move slower, do more. And the Friday habit, just like Steve Jobs, just like so many that came before him, it's hey, do you remember the story of the tortoise and the hare?
Yeah.
Who won that race? Right?
Yeah.
The tortoise won that race for a reason, and the Friday habit can make this a reality for you. I love it. I love it.
Yeah. Slow down. Be more intentional.
Yes.
Be more thoughtful.
Yes.
Spend time thinking.
Yes.
That's right. Hey, if people wanted to connect with you, or and learn more about what you're into and what you're doing, get more inspiration, what's the best way?
I'm Bernie Youngblood on LinkedIn, on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, YouTube, all the places an old man shouldn't be. I'm there.
I love it. Well, hey, thanks so much for being with us, and thank you for listening to The Friday Habit. If you go to thefridayhabit.com, you can find show notes for this episode. You can also find links to our websites and ways to get in touch. And at the bottom of the page, you can download our Friday Habit system. That's going to show you how to set aside one full day each week to dedicate working on your business instead of always in your business. You can reach us at hello@thefridayhabit.com if you got any questions or a guest suggestion. And remember, until next time, live every day like it's Friday.